I'm not going to comment on rumors that conservative pundit Scott Jennings is bi, but his wife's name is, I'm not kidding, Autumn Stiff Jennings. Why would you say something like that? You know what I mean? See, this is what I don't like about the internet, just making stuff. I mean, you could Google that. Hold up. He gonna be testy when he go back on CNN. Shout out to all the subscribers and the members here on the channel. Don't forget to like the video. My name is Reese Waters, and I'm troubled. Y'all remember that video I put out not too long ago of Ashley St Clair giving up all the MAGA tea?
Alina Habba was sleeping with one or two of the Trumps. Not my mouth. And Alina Habba, sorry if you're upset that I even say this, but you know exactly who is spreading that, so please don't be mad at me, because this is what these people do.
Yo, she not finished. It's more tea.
Ashley St Clair, the former conservative influencer turned whistleblower and the mother of an Elon Musk baby, has more tea for all of us, and I thought that would be fun for a Friday. So she released a video that was over 7 minutes long on TikTok where she detailed the exploits.
I know Chud the Builder. Chud the Builder. Is it him? Y'all know the dude that was roaming around screaming ends at black people because he wanted a good nap?
This dude was created because his mom his aunt and his dad his uncle, and they made him. That's why he looks like
Somebody get him a banana. He's simping out.
Well, come to find out, he was more open-minded than we thought.
I know that ain't who I think it is.
Maybe he was so dedicated to the racism, he wanted to go where they was just the least black people possible. He was. I don't think they do. I don't think they do ballet. So I'm gonna go ahead and try that. Well, they sure tried you now, didn't they? I don't know what's worse, the leotard or the lacking.
It ain't over, bro. All right, bro. Huh? Do it again, you're gonna go to jail today.
You think he even had to dial 911, or was it just on speed dial? You think he just got his hand on it the whole time while he's shooting his content? What was that it? It wasn't Chud the Builder? Oh, I know, the New England Patriots.
I don't know. Stop it. I don't. That on purpose.
Ben Affleck and Matt Damon on there, Tatum and Brown.
This last one, underdog.
That's all I see on that boat. I don't
That's
see
exactly
anything
right.
else.
That wasn't it neither? That's crazy. I will tell you this, though. It's something to be said about the fact that her career is over and he gonna be on the sidelines week 1. Huh? Is it wrong? Was it wrong or was it not? I mean, what are we even doing here? Yes, the whole thing is messy. Very, very messy. You know, kind of like that Candace Owens, Larry Loomer thing. Is that it?
Guys, this is insane what I'm about to share with you. Here's what Candace Owens posted. She said, criminal stupidity. Today we had to contact the police. It turns out that yesterday on May 4th, somebody attempted to impersonate me and open a State Farm account for me and my husband, George. Why? Because when you begin the process of opening an account, State Farm will attach possible cars that match your name throughout the state. This is perhaps why I was quite surprised when 2 of the actual vehicles that me and my children use were suddenly on the internet. Fortunately, impersonating someone for the express purpose of accessing information is highly illegal. It is also quite an easy crime to trace, especially if someone is dumb enough to share and watermark their name over what State Farm recognizes is their database of possible cars for you to select. I sure hope we catch this mysterious predator. There's more, but we'll keep the rest a surprise. So this is how it went down. Laura Loomer's husband got caught illegally doxing Candace Owens' private cars and VIN numbers using State Farm's internal system. A 7-year State Farm employee who saw that this happened, reached out anonymously and dropped this bomb screenshot attached. The screenshot that Laura provided with all of your listed cars is not public information. I'd like to remain anonymous, please. The screenshot that Laura provided is not public information. I have worked for State Farm for 7 years, and that is 110% a screen grab of the State Farm quoting tool that pulls up possible associated cars with the person named on the quote and or the address listed for the person. The font, the way the car and VIN is listed, is definitely from the State Farm system. That means Laura got someone from State Farm to run a quote for you, which is definitely illegal. It's insane to see the lengths that Laura Loomer may be going to try to catch Candace and smear her. But again, here's what I'll say about Candace. In most cases, she gets the last laugh. You go after her, you're Ben Shapiro, you start laying off employees. It's just like the lady's relentless.
But what was the name on it, Candace? Was it Jake? Was it Jake? Huh. Well, if it wasn't, maybe they were just trying to be a good neighbor. They were trying to be there. They were trying to be there. I don't know. They're going to have to give that one up. Oh, she didn't? Well, that's Loomer. Exclusive. George Farmer, the immigrant husband of Candace Owens, totaled his truck while driving drunk, despite Candace Owens denying her husband had ever been arrested and claiming his accident was simply a fender bender that the police were never called over. Well, let me take a look at that. Oh, here we go. Tennessee is misspelled in these documents, which makes it highly likely they are not real. Tennessee. We learned that in grade school. Come on. You can't. Oh, they misspelled it themselves? The people in Tennessee misspelled it themselves? Where's Tennessee in education? Guess I can't rule it out. I guess I can't rule that out. That is a whole mess. One thing I would love to do, though, Loomer, I would love to go down the road of criminality with no punitive charges or effects whatsoever. Is that a road we want to go down? Is that a road we want to go down? Oh, excuse me. You have to bark.
So you can see here, positive bison. It clearly says dog food topper. And I'm going to put this in my mouth right now. So it tastes like meat. And maybe that is disgusting to you. But I'll show you right here. Look, this is the bison product right here. It clearly says dog food topper. You can see on camera. Actually tastes good.
Hey, yo, what the?
I know what her tea was. It got to be the sugar daddy story. Is it the sugar daddy story in the administration? Trump official under investigation for allegedly hunting sugar daddies to fund lifestyle. Deputy Assistant Secretary for Counterterrorism Julia Varvaro, 29, had an official complaint filed against her after a man who was identified by the Mail as Robert B. alleged he spent $40K on her during their 3-month relationship. He said they met on the dating app Hinge and alleged she has used a sugar daddy platform under the pseudonym Alessia. Wait a minute. I got a question. 40K? What grade simp is that? What grade simp? I'm just trying to figure that out.
What do you mean by that?
And another thing, what are they paying the counterterrorism experts that they got to go on sugar daddy websites? If that ain't reason to withhold ICE funds, I don't know what is.
Guys, it gets funnier by the day. This is Julia Varvaro. She is Trump's counterterrorism deputy, and she's being let go from her position due to her sugar daddy history. This man right here alleges that Julia had a relationship with him to fund her very expensive lifestyle.
Yeah, he looked exactly how I thought he would. Yeah, he looked exactly what my mental image is. I'm good at this. I'm good at this.
The complaint, first reported to the Daily Mail, includes claims from a former partner who says he spent up to $40,000 on travel, jewelry, and gifts during a brief relationship, and alleges Varvaro previously relied on similar arrangements to pay for expenses, including her education. Julia allegedly flexed her DHS clout by having a TSA supervisor meet them at the airport and whisk them through security at Dulles Airport. It also said that she violated the rules of her position by using illegal substances. This is where it gets extra corrupt. This same sugar daddy, Robert Bianchi, owns a federal defense contracting firm. He has received over $67 million in government contracts over the last 10 years, but more than a third of them came in while Donald Trump was in office during his relationship with Julia.
How much in government contracts now? You might have charged that $40K to the game. You know what I mean? That sounds like an investment. That's what that sounds like. And we want to talk about the cronyism? Huh? We want to talk about the cronyism? Taking government handouts? Oh, but not on this level, though. Not when it's in the millions.
Let's go over some of these text messages and you tell me if this sounds like a sugar daddy, sugar baby relationship. I'm not used to having to ask like this for a simple card or help with my rent, especially being furloughed. Even today, about going to the gym, instead of you immediately saying you'd be happy to get me something I want is stingy. Just last week, I was going to bartend, then you said ask my boyfriend instead. Which I did, and then you still didn't show. I like feeling provided for, and you're not doing that for me, so not sure it will work.
That attitude is stank. Honestly, I don't know whether it was sugar baby or not, but it ain't for you. I can tell you that much. And again, to the point that I made about how much we paying counterterrorism experts, did she say bartend? We got counterterrorism experts doing second jobs? This economy is crazy.
I've dropped $30,000 to $40,000 on you within 3 months we've dated. In the last week, you demanded I give you $4K for rent, $2K for M-Sculpt, $1K sandals, a credit card, and haven't gotten to the weekend yet. He goes on to say he feels really blown off by Julia. I told you I'm not paying your bills until we are engaged. I offered to loan you the money until furlough is over.
I got a question. What part of the sugar baby, sugar daddy relationship is ghosting the dude? Wait a minute. So he said he paid $40K, which you didn't dispute. He paid $40K and you ghosting him to make him pay more? Like, honestly, I don't.
In Robert's complaint, he said that Julia told him directly that the $40,000 worth of jewelry she wore was trophies from her past sugar daddies. Julia has since dismissed these claims, saying that he is a mad ex-boyfriend putting crap together. Reports also include that Julia was finding these sugar daddies on a website used to find sugar daddies and sugar babies. On this site, she was going by the name Alessia and described herself as seductive sophistication.
Okay, now I understand the allegations have been refuted, but your behavior, though, you could say you're not, but the text messages that, I'm no thief, Your Honor. I just took his stuff from his place to my place. Like, don't get caught up in the label.
And girl, you did not need no lipo for them arms. I know a finesse when I see one. How there is so much scandal going on in DC, I need to open a field office down there. Now, this is Julia Varvaro, and she is the top counterintelligence officer in the Trump administration. Now, the Daily Mail found her sugar baby account. She a sugar baby. And this one of the sugar daddies. This is crazy. According to the Daily Mail, and that sugar daddy who didn't realize he was a sugar daddy until he put 2 and 2 together. So he reached out to Daily Mail. He said, yo, I've been dating this girl. I think she a sugar baby. So the Daily Mail put 2 and 2 together and they were like, oh, snap, she is, because they found her sugar baby account on one of those sugar daddy websites, on a bunch of sugar daddy websites.
I'm sorry, did you say she was on a bunch of different sugar baby websites? And they were able to all be found out? What kind of counterterrorism she doing? Now I see why she needed a second job.
And when they reached out to Julia, she said, oh, no, that's not me. And the Daily Mail said, but you got the same Instagram pictures as this profile we found on these sugar sugar baby websites. So then she deleted them right after she talked to the Daily Mail.
This what happens when you get rid of the Department of Education. This what happens. They not teaching the kids no more. They not teaching the kids no more. What Donald Trump school of getting away with it says you go and delete it as soon as you talk to the Daily Mail? Why? It's just a coincidence? Like, come on.
Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy.
It used to be each one teach one. Now it's everybody to their lonesome. Now we have accounts mysteriously deleting after the media was contacted.
I love the poorly educated.
I remember my dad found all the Game Boy games that I had spent my Christmas money on after I told him I was going to buy books. And he asked me, are these your Game Boy games? And I had to tell him no. They was my friend's Game Boy games. They let me borrow them. And I had to sit there and give away all my Game Boy games just to keep it going. I was 10. You 29 and accounts going mysteriously deleted. Now I got a question. So you mean to tell me he emailed the Inspector General, but it was the Daily Mail that got back to him? That's our government. Honestly. Not even Scott Jennings could spin this. You say what now?
Whatever you think I'm about to tell you about Scott Jennings, you are gonna be so far off the rail. I'd just like to mention that this is Scott in 2016. And before that, it appears he may have had a checkered past. See, because Scott got up this morning at 4:05 in the a.m. pissed off at Chris Murphy saying the word awesome. At least 26 Iranian Shadow Fleet vessels bypassed the U.S. blockade. Chris Murphy, in a sarcastic tone. Awesome, because that's what's happening in this whole administration in the world right now. To which Scott Jennings got his little knickers in a twist.
Wait, Nick who? Nick who? Oh, she said knickers. Knickers. Okay. Go on.
And said, Year of Our Lord 2026, Democrat U.S. Senator openly rooting for Iran to defeat U.S. in battle. Every Dem on the Hill ought to be hounded today by the reporter to answer for this lunatic. Scott, baby, you should have left that shit all the way the fuck there because, girl, everything I'm about to show you was allegedly. But if you don't follow this creator over on Twitter, you need to, right? And that would be here, Chef Joe. Oh my God. Now a word from Chef Joe. Hi, Scott. You may not remember me from my Broadway performing days in New York City, but you're making complete lying. So here it is. Scott Jennings swings both ways. Not that I care. Who gives a shit? But he lied like this since 2009, and there are at least 100 photos of him doing it. Scott Jennings is a liar. He was a liberal Republican and hitched his wagon to the Orange Master because Trump blackmailed him, and there's money there. If you want to know how Trump gets away with shit, just ask anyone who performed in the arts between 2002 and 2010 in New York City. Remember when you sued to go to Jack Rose Steakhouse and drink 6 martinis every night and hit on the waitstaff? Remember when you stumbled out of Trailer Park at 4 a.m. with a guy named Richie, not his real name, and kissed him for 30 minutes at karaoke night? Oh, and there was that extensive hanging out at Pravada on Houston. Remember those frosted glass bathrooms? Yeah, everybody else does too. I want to let you know that threatening Chris Murphy, a genuinely good person, has pissed off a lot of people who are going to blow up your spot. Take it down, apologize. Let's see if I get served with a cease and desist. Bring it on. But I'm not your biggest problem. I'm just the messenger. Again, all allegedly, but ooh, and this one girl, nobody gives a f, and everybody will believe Chef Joe. And this is what Scott looked like before he got skinty.
Now, Ashley, this had to be it. This had to be the tea. Yeah, this hit both sides of the internet. You got one half talking about knickers in a bunch, and you got the other half talking about busting it wide open.
Scott, babe, they say you was busting it wide open on Fire Island. What's tea, Bookie Butt? Scott, babe, they got all your business out on Twitter. What's going on? Now, Scott's troubles all began when he was quote tweeting Senator Chris Murphy. Now, it had been reported that 26 Iranian vessels had bypassed the blockade, and Chris Murphy had tweeted and said, awesome. And then you can see what Scott Jennings had said. He was really upset about that. And then that's when the hero comes and saves the day. Now, the chef by the name of Joe Guerra had quote tweets Scott Jennings, and he says, hi, Scott, you may not remember me from my Broadway performing days in New York City, but you are being a complete lying asshole. He goes on to say that, so here it is, Scott Jennings swings both ways. Not that I care, and who gives a ish, but he lied about this since 2009, and there are at least 100 pictures of him on Fire Island's bars from back in the day. And then he tags Adam Mockler, I think that's how you pronounce his name, and said, ask him about that on CNN next time. He did not stop there. The tea just kept spilling over. Now, Chef Joe, we're just going to call him that for short, goes on to say that, remember when you sued to go back to Jack Rose Steakhouse and drink 6 martinis every night and hit on the waitstaff? He goes on to say, remember when you stumbled out of a trailer park at 4 a.m. with a guy named Richie, not his real name, and kissing him for 30 minutes at karaoke night? Not karaoke night. This is the one right here for me. He goes on to say, oh, and then there's your extensive hanging out at Pravada on Houston.
I just, quick interruption. You was cooking, but quick interruption. It's Pravda on Houston. Yeah. No, I don't know. I never been, I'm just an ex-New Yorker. That's all. That's all.
Remember those frosted glass bathrooms? Yeah, everybody else does too. Scott, babe, it's not looking good for you. They got you and your drawers hanging out all over Twitter. Now, is Scott going to address this on his next stint on CNN? Doubtful. But is somebody messy about to ask him some questions? Absolutely.
Drawers out all over Twitter. Or since it's New York, they're hanging from the power lines. That means the drawers hanging all the way from the power lines. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I know how much Scott likes his polling, so I guess that's where we should go next. Come on now, is anyone really surprised CNN Scott Jennings likes... There's a good reason why at every Republican convention, Trump's MAGA supporters crash Grindr. MAGA is America's largest bi cult. I mean, the facts are the facts. The facts are the facts. I'm not going to comment on rumors that conservative pundit Scott Jennings is bi, but his wife's name is, I'm not kidding, Autumn Stiff Jennings. Why would you say something like that? You know what I mean? See, this is what I don't like about the internet, just making stuff. I mean, you could Google that. Hold up. He gonna be testy when he go back on CNN.
I mean, honestly, they have been at war with us for 47
We all
years.
know that Scott Jennings is more than happy to defend a war with a country that starts with the letters IRA that we are currently failing, that is going to put us trillions and trillions of dollars more in debt. I was only a few years old while you were in the administration defending prior endless wars. Now this war is failing.
8 weeks is endless to you?
Okay, you said it was going to be 4 to 6 weeks.
You have the attention span of a gnat? Is that
Homie,
what you
I
have?
debated you on TV 4 to 6 weeks ago, and you said we were weeks away from it. Now you're making condescending remarks because you can't defend the fact that this war is not going your way. Wait, one more time.
Not
Can you
going your way.
One political concession. Name one political concession.
Honestly, I'm not going to have this guy's
everybody,
in my face.
everybody, hang tight.
Honestly.
Okay.
That's not going to help, Scott. That is definitely not going to help. Wow. A lot of stress. It's just a lot of stress. Sometimes you ever ask yourself how people got to this point? You know what I mean? Like if the bar is so low for you to crash out, and get triggered by Adam Mockler like that is so, like, how did you get to this point?
The Dumb Life of Scott Jennings, the poster boy of GOP fragility. You likely have seen the video where Scott Jennings has a little tantrum on camera crying about how a finger is too close to his face. Jennings is a long-time piece of work with a long history of being kind of a piece of which is, as you'll likely already know, common as with most Republican pundits. In 2007, he was an aide to Karl Rove and pursued politically motivated firings of attorneys who hurt Republican feelings. But Jennings was a moron and did all this over email, even admitting that the people he was firing did nothing wrong but should be fired anyway because he didn't like their politics. Funnily enough, he did this on a private email server instead of the mandated government servers, which was used to cover up thousands of communications that the Presidential Records Act mandates preserving. Jennings was brought before the Senate and even admitted he refused to answer questions because he would likely receive a criminal contempt charge. Later that same year, Jennings gave PowerPoint presentations to government employees, telling them they needed to support Republican candidates and get them elected. A big illegal no-no. Jennings then ran the Kentuckians for Strong Leadership Super PAC, an organization that had 0 donors from Kentucky and which did some pretty swampy and hid a lot of his work in a non-profit that was likely incredibly illegal. And then in 2017, he transitioned to being a pundit. He was offered a position in the Trump White House, but turned it down because he considered Trump to be an authoritarian scumbag, but quickly changed his position to go full Trumpy Trumpkins once it was clear that was the way to make money. His Trump flip is one of the craziest bits of mental grifter gymnastics anyone can possibly do. He called January 6th literally an insurrection caused by Donald Trump, and that Trump planned to overthrow the government for weeks ahead of time. And as soon as it became clear that it was better for him financially to support Trump, he flipped the switch because he is a bad human being. But while he publicly supported Trump, he also privately mocked him, telling colleagues he didn't really like the fatty-fatso orange-skinned idiot, but that this was good for his brand. The man is truly a scumbag with little to no spine, which is why he is the perfect example of the current state of MAGA and the GOP. Just an angry old fossil screaming on TV with no morals, no ethics, and no emotional regulation.
Now all of a sudden the finger thing makes a lot more sense. Now I get why he would always think a finger is in his face. I would always think that people were pointing and talking about me if I had been through all of that. That is for sure. Did I get it yet? That's not it? Oh, I know. The Ice Barbie enforcer story. Ice Barbie's enforcer seduced teen girl who worked for her. Allegations of the former ICE deputy director's toxic behavior have been revealed. Now, who would have thought that Kristi Noem and her husband both have enforcers? That's crazy. I would take her husband's, though. We were long overdue for a sapphic MAGA sex scandal. Madison Sheahan, the former number 2 at ICE who left in January to run for Congress in Ohio, is alleged to have dated an underling from 2020 to 2022. The two met when the woman was 19 and working on Trump's 2020 presidential campaign while a student at Denison University. Because of the pandemic, she lost her student accommodation, and the then 23-year-old Sheahan invited her to move into her house. At the time, Sheahan was working for the Ohio Republican Party. According to 3 separate sources, Sheahan was, at one point in 2020, the woman's supervisor. Throughout their relationship, the Mail reports Sheahan exhibited loads of toxic behavior, much of which stemmed from jealousy and a paranoia that her lover would cheat on her with a man. When the woman told Sheahan this was her first same-sex relationship, Sheahan reportedly replied, "This is why I don't like to date people who aren't gay." According to the woman, Sheahan could only be described as toxic, volatile, and controlling. Well, that's so MAGA, isn't it? That is so MAGA. Not only is it so MAGA, it's also so ICE. It's a wonder why she left. That seems to be a match made in heaven.
Madison Sheahan, the 28-year-old deputy director of ICE, is resigning to run for Congress in Ohio. She's been ICE's second in command since March 2025, during one of the most aggressive immigration crackdowns under the Trump administration. In her campaign launch, Sheahan calls herself a Trump conservative and credits ICE with hiring 12,000 new agents and deporting over 2.5 million people on her watch. She frames her farm town upbringing as proof that she's tough. and attacks Democratic Representative Marcy Kaptur for opposing the border wall and supporting housing and healthcare for immigrants. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem praised Sheahan as a workhorse and longtime ally. The two previously worked together in South Dakota before Sheahan jumped to ICE. But inside the agency, her rise raised red flags. The Wall Street Journal reports career officials questioned her lack of law enforcement experience and accused her of sidelining ICE's director. She was also notably absent during the Minneapolis crackdown that ended with violent clashes and the killing of Renee Good. Sheahan is now running in Ohio's 9th district, a swing seat, with a crowded GOP primary set for May 5th. Kaptur's campaign fired back, calling Sheahan a symbol of corruption and lawlessness, and saying voters want accountability, not ambition.
Now, I just have so many questions here, not the least of which is how she never made any of those promo photos for ICE, did she? They never had old Madison in any of the ICE Barbie shots. Why was you hiding Madison in the back? Which brings me to my next question about being a pick-me for this regime and their treatment of women. Let's see who got packed up. Let's see, Kristi Noem got packed up, Pam Bondi got packed up, Chavez DeRemer got packed up, but we get a new rumor about Cash and Pete Hegseth every other week. That's the administration you decide to sign up for ICE, where you couldn't even show your face. Speaking of showing your face, why is it that everybody from the administration just all of a sudden runs to Ohio? Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird?
Madison Sheahan is absolutely using a series of loopholes for a long plant into Ohio's Congress, and she's hardly the first person to do that. I'm going to zoom out on this and read to you exactly how this came to be and how many other people were put in the same position. The first thing to understand is that yes, PACs are using residential homes not only as central hubs, but they're also purchasing them sometimes for reasons we don't know. And here's why that's a problem. Not necessarily the first thing they could do is allow somebody to use that home to run or rent that home to run. Matt Walsh is a really good example of this. He did this so that he could speak at a school board in a state that he doesn't live in. It happens all the time. Another thing you could do is maybe you do have parents that live there, like she does, and she's saying, oh, well, I'm actually living with my parents, which is not true. She owns a home here. That is objectively true. The other way you use these addresses is that you have a pre-stated campaign account that gets funding from all of the other PACs and campaign accounts that are also registered to that address. I've talked about this for a very long time.
What? Let me find out. So the first time we was hearing about the whole system with influencers, and now we're hearing about the whole system with actual political candidates. Yes.
This is absolutely huge and probably the most redemptive thing that has ever happened to me. I reported to you guys earlier this month that Madison Sheahan was running for U.S. Congress in Ohio. But before that, when I wrote ProPublica, when I wrote this indictment and published it, I wrote that these PACs, I noticed, were purchasing homes, they were putting them in trust, and that by doing this, democracy was going to be at risk, because this could mean that this network that I've been telling you about that has run from householder to South Dakota means that they could just put people in positions to run from any address. Well, I found Madison Sheahan's residential address that she registered to run for office in Ohio. I ran it through FEC records, and sure enough, it was the address of a PAC in Ohio in 2017. If anybody is willing to hear me out and take this seriously, I have continued to be right. I have continued to tell you guys what is going to come next because of this research. And because I'm right, that means that we can do something about it, because none of this is legal.
Please listen and share this far and wide. I don't get paid or take dark money, so I have a hard time getting my information out. People have not listened to me, but I've been telling for over a year from looking at Secretary of State, FEC. I am good at what I do. If somebody with some power will just do something, this is her candidacy form next to the PAC FEC form. And as I've previously published in the partial unedited indictment, journalists have not reported on, and investigators to my knowledge outside of myself are unaware of the occurrence or magnitude of the home buying done by political action committees. Consider prior pieces you published revealing the detail and traction, because if this is not well understood or common knowledge, it cannot be overstated. I did this by myself. All of my reporting I do by myself, besides a few friends that help me edit and think through things. If I could do this by myself without the money, without the power, if somebody would please just help me. I know so much more.
I got to give a shout out to Miranda Sievers. Fantastic job that she did compiling all of that. And as much as I talk about how all of a sudden all of this has been exploded, the way that the right wing has tried to game the system in a litany of ways, how about the fact that the work that goes into uncovering this is done by people on social media on their own time? Those two do not go together. That is, of course, unless you get a whistleblower that will reveal the entire thing. Did we get it? None of those? How messy is MAGA?
Ashley St Clair, the former conservative influencer turned whistleblower and the mother of an Elon Musk baby.
I must say, Ashley St Clair, I really enjoy what you've been putting out. I very much appreciate it. Mother of an Elon Musk baby should follow every mother of an Elon Musk baby. I mean, that should be that. Yes, that's your new last name, is mother of an Elon Musk baby.
Has more tea for all of us, and I thought that would be fun for a Friday. So she released a video that was over 7 minutes long on TikTok where she detailed the exploits of a current Republican congressman.
Get ready with me while I tell you about the married Republican congressman who used to try to get me to go to his beach house, and then he got a restraining order placed on him by his girlfriend that he was cheating on his alleged wife with for threatening to release her photos. And by the way, he's still in Congress.
Carry the pumps and then the dress. Okay.
Now, unless I missed it, which I might have, I don't think she mentions the congressman's name in her video, but she gives you enough information to where you can easily figure out who she's talking about. And she's talking about Cory Mills.
Hey, Byron, you knew about this? Isn't this your man's restraining order?
The Republican representative from Florida. So she starts off by explaining that Mills was one of those guys that she sort of just like kept at bay. He hadn't done or said anything terrible to her, but he was kind of weird, so she just used him as a source to get information on things like votes. So let's hear more of what she had to say.
So he sends me all these random requests, and then the last request was him sending me a photo of the beach, I guess, at his house, saying, let me know if you ever want to come down to the beach house. So I just ignored that, right? As one should. But then a few months later, this man is making headlines because there was a 911 call to one of his girlfriends that he had and kicked her out of their home in DC.
Y'all remember that. And in fact, I think that's why there's gaining steam to expel him from Congress, which somehow hasn't happened yet. Imagine how much less of this would have had to have happened for a Democrat to get booted. Also, let me know in the comments if y'all want me to start doing makeup when I record my videos, just because, it's something y'all might like.
But this girlfriend in DC was apparently not the only one, because shortly after this report about the domestic incident in DC, this congressman's other longtime girlfriend, who I knew years ago, very sweet girl, beautiful, in her 20s, I think she's Miss USA, like very beautiful girl, files for a restraining order.
Ladies, what y'all doing? What y'all doing? I'm not going to Google this person and what she looks like. I'm gonna just take your word for it. She's beautiful in a Miss USA. Cory Mills out here juggling 3 women, acting a whole ass in front of everybody while he inviting Ashley St Clair to the beach house. This ain't even Elon Musk we talking about. Richest man in the... This ain't no type of billion. He's a congressman and about to be fired one at that. Ladies. This on y'all.
The girl who filed the restraining order against Mills, according to Ashley, thought that they were in a monogamous relationship. Apparently, Mills regularly hid the fact that he was still married from a lot of people, but a lot of information was revealed with the restraining order.
Mind you, simultaneously, this guy, while he's running for Congress, he is running on this Christian conservative, even though like he converted to Islam. This guy's so weird. And that he has this beautiful family and children, and they want more children. And he's just the perfect patriot, veteran, godly man. During this hearing for the restraining order, his girlfriend brings receipts for the most diabolical tech.
Now help me out with something. Help me out with something. So you telling me that his girlfriend thought that they were in a monogamous relationship. She thought she was in a monogamous relationship with a congressman who's running as a Christian conservative with a family and whatnot. Did he take all the electronics out the home? Is that what he cut off the internet? Is that what he did? I just, y'all gonna have to sort this one out, MAGA. You're on your own. You're on your own, MAGA. I'm not, no, you're on your own. This was a whole mess. This was a whole mess. I took almost 30 minutes to try and guess which calamity she was referring to. I still didn't get it. And the one that it ended up being was weirder than all the rest of them. Other than the Laura Loomer one. I guess technically that one's always the weirdest because she's involved.
Concession. Name one political concession.
Thanks, Scott Jennings. You ain't got to yell. All right, yours was the weirdest. Dang. Wasn't worth all that. Settle down.